John pressed his forehead to the cool metal of the patrol craft as he turned a stubborn bolt. The engine hissed and groaned under his touch. Sparks flew and cooled in a dull shower. Around him, the repair bay smelled of oil, sweat, and engine. Steam. He worked quickly, but with care. Every loose cable and damp patch of fluid mattered. He did not hear her approach until she spoke. "You are nearly done?" John looked up. Zara stood tall and proud in her blue armor. Her skin was light lavender, with faint stripes that glowed when she was tense. Her hair was dark purple, woven into tight braids. She wore a belt filled with tools. She held her pistol in one hand. John rose and tapped his glove. "Just a few more minutes, then your craft will be ready." Zara watched him. She stood still as a statue. Her dark eyes never moved away from his face. Her breathing was calm. John felt a small tug in his chest. He turned back to the engine. The bolt was stuck. John braced his foot and applied more force. It gave with a loud crack. He wiped his brow. He handed her the bolt. Zara took it. She placed it in a case at her hip. "You have skill beyond normal humans." John shook his head. "I learned young." "My mother taught me." Zara turned slightly. Her armor scratched the wall. John saw a soft flicker in her eyes, a sign of respect from her kind. Moments later, the ship's captain, Reed, walked into the bay. He wore a dark jacket and white shirt. He nodded when he saw Zara. "Zara, good to see you." Zara replied with a deep bow. "Captain." Then she looked at John. "Engineer John, I thank you for your work." John nodded. He did not like titles. He preferred simple words. Still, he felt proud. Zara's thanks meant much. Reed glanced at John's work. He tapped a metal panel. It held firm. Reed smiled. "Well done." John straightened. "Thank you, sir." Reed checked his watch. "We leave in 10 minutes. I want you both ready." Zara stepped back. "Understood." She paused a beat. Then she turned on her heel and marched out. John watched her leave. His heart fluttered. He felt warm in his chest. He shook his head and turned back to cleaning his tools. Outside, the bay doors opened. A blast of cold wind and bright sunlight shone in. The human ship Horizon sat at its docking port. Its white hull gleamed. The crew moved about. A small crowd had formed. John finished wiping his last tool. He stored it. He stood and stretched. His body ached from the work. He thought of rest. But he had a job to do. He picked up his datapad. He tapped through the maintenance checklist, all systems green. Horizon would travel safely. He walked toward the ramp. He saw Zara waiting at the base. She held a pistol in one hand and a helmet in the other. Her armor looked heavy and dark against the bright day. John took a deep breath. He met her eyes. For a moment, time slowed. He felt brave. "All set?" he asked. Zara nodded. "Yes, you may board." They climbed the ramp together. The crowd parted. Their footsteps echoed in the hull. Inside, the bay was neat and tidy. Tools and parts were in their places. The air smelled of metal and polish. A narrow corridor led to the bridge. Zara led the way. John followed. They passed a medical bay then. The crew quarters. John felt a tug of guilt. He had never invited Zara to his own cabin. He wondered if he should. He kept walking. They reached the bridge. The pilot sat at the control console. She waved. "Morning, John." John returned the wave. "Morning, Maya." Maya glanced at Zara and raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess. You fixed her craft?" John smiled. "She begged me," Maya snorted. "Begged, right." Zara stepped forward. The craft was important. Maya held up a hand. "Point taken." Captain Reed's voice came through the intercom. "All hands report to stations. We depart at 0800 hours." Maya tapped the console. The engines hummed to life. Lights blinked on panels. The crew strapped in. John moved to the engineering station. Zara went to the weapons console beside him. Their shoulders brushed. John swallowed. He looked at her. "Do you mind me here?" Zara glanced at him. "No." John sat. He tapped a few keys. The engines thrummed stronger. Zara watched the sensors. She studied the readings. After a moment, she spoke. "This route is risky." John followed her finger on the screen. The map showed a broken satellite orbiting a planet named Cora. Its atmosphere was harsh and stormy. The satellite was critical to human communications in the sector. John nodded. I agree. But we have no choice, Zara frowned. Then we must be careful, John offered a small smile. Careful is my middle name. He stifled a laugh. Zara stared at him for a moment. Then she turned away, jaw tight. John sat back in his chair. The crew held steady as Horizon rose from the docking port. The engines flared. The ship lifted. Sunlight gleamed on its hull. John felt calm. He looked at Zara. She checked her console. Her expression was serious. John tapped a button. A soft chime rang. Engine 2 is showing slight heat increase, he said. Zara leaned in. I see it, John typed a command. Adjust coolant flow. Zara touched the screen. Done. The heat gauge dropped to normal. John leaned back. Good work. Zara's shoulders relaxed. She nodded. John wished to say more, but the alarm sounded. Approaching asteroid field, Maya called out. John and Zara braced. Horizon shuddered. The metal hull creaked. John gripped the armrests. Zara held the edge of her console. They moved into the field. Rocks tumbled. Debris scraped the hull. John scanned the sensors. Field density high. Zara tapped the controls. Navigating. John checked. Engine loads. All systems holding. Zara's voice was calm. Keep it that way. John gripped his console. He scanned the rocks. A large boulder loomed. Brace! Zara shouted. John braced himself as Horizon rolled. The boulder passed too close. Loud bangs shook them. John's helmet glowed with flashing lights. He heard alarms. Damage in Sector 3. Maya's voice said. Zara typed commands. Seal the breach. John moved to help. He opened a panel. Sparks flew. Zara reached over. She guided his hand to a switch. This one. She pressed it. The alarms quieted. The hull seal indicator turned green. John exhaled. He looked at Zara. She nodded. They both smiled. For a moment the tension eased. John touched the edge of his helmet. He felt tired. Zara saw it. You should rest soon. John shook his head. Need to keep watch? Zara's eyes softened. Then I will join you. John's heart sped. He did not expect her words. Thank you, he said quietly. Zara turned back to the console. You are welcome, engineer. John looked out the front viewport. The asteroid field lay behind. Ahead, the planet Cora glowed with storms. John felt a thrill. He turned back to Zara. She studied him as if seeing him anew. John woke early in the morning. He sat on the edge of his bunk and stared at the ceiling lights. The ship's gentle hum reminded him that they were on course for planet Cora. He rubbed his eyes and sighed. He wished he could rest more. But he had work to do. He left his cabin and walked down the narrow corridor. The lights were dim in the early hour. He passed the doors to the mess hall and the recreation area. No one was around. He felt the quiet like a soft blanket. He reached the engineering bay. The doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the repair crew was already busy. Sparks flew as welders sealed small cracks in the hull. Engineers checked gauges and tightened bolts. The bay smelled of oil and hot metal. John tapped his datapad. He checked the engine readings. All systems looked stable after yesterday's asteroid field. He nodded to crew members as he passed. He paused by a console. A sensor map showed the broken satellite above Cora. It was dark on the screen, orbiting the stormy planet. Lines connected the satellite to a control station on the planet's surface. Those lines flickered, meaning the connection was weak. John frowned. The satellite was important for communication. Without it, the humans and their allies could not send orders or warnings. He tapped a few commands. He downloaded the repair plan and the tools list. He heard footsteps. John turned. Zara walked in. She carried a repair kit in both hands. Her armor looked less heavy without her helmet. Her hair braided down her back. She nodded at John. Good morning, Zara said. John smiled. Morning? Ready for the mission? Zara set down the kit. Yes, we must fix the satellite quickly. John tapped the datapad. The plan says we must exit the ship in a shuttle, then float to the satellite in a spacesuit. We will have tools and spare parts, Zara nodded. I will prepare. The weapons. John eyed her belt. Weapons? I hope we do not need them. Zara's lips curved slightly. Hostile forces patrol here. They will not let us work in peace. John's chest tightened. He knew she was right. He cleared his throat. Let's get ready. They walked to the shuttle bay. The doors loomed tall and wide. Inside, a small shuttle waited. It was painted white and gray, with human and alien symbols on its side. John opened a hatch and climbed in. He strapped himself into the pilot seat and ran systems check. Zara climbed into the passenger seat. She strapped her suit tightly. She checked her pistol and grenades. John watched her. He wondered how she felt. He tried to think of something to say, but she looked serious and focused. The shuttle doors closed. The engines hummed. John tapped controls. Lights blinked on the panel. He smiled at Zara. Ready? Zara nodded. Yes. John pushed the throttle. The shuttle lifted off the ship. They shot into space. Stars and the planet Cora grew on the view screen. The satellite came into view. It looked like a broken circle, one side crushed and bent. John guided the shuttle. He lined it with an opening in the satellite. He cut the engines. The shuttle coasted toward the hole. He flicked a switch. The ramp opened. Zara moved first. She clipped her tether to the shuttle. She floated out. John followed. They drifted in zero gravity. Small lights on their suits blinked. John checked his tools. He floated to the bent panel. He clipped his tether to a nearby beam. He pulled out a plasma cutter. He glanced at Zara. She held a small scanner. She waved at him. John waved back. He activated the cutter. A blue beam cut through metal. Sparks flew in slow motion. He trimmed away the bent piece. Suddenly, red lights flashed on both suits. John saw danger. He tapped his wrist console. A new symbol blinked. Enemy fighters were closing in, he shouted, but sound could not carry. He tapped his coms. Zara, fighters! Zara looked at him. She tapped her suit. She pulled off one of her grenades and held it out. John shook his head. Need tools first. Zara nodded. She studied the panel. She pointed to a junction box. John understood. He cut the power cable. The lights on the damaged side dimmed. The panel fell away easily. He reached inside and grabbed a spare panel. He inserted it. It clicked. He tightened screws with a magnetic driver. Sparks sparked as the panel locked. Got it, John tapped. Installing new circuits. Zara used her scanner. She checked the wiring. Circuit alignment is good. John sealed the box. He pressed a button. A soft green light glowed. Complete, John tapped. Zara exhaled. Then she looked around. We should leave, John nodded. He grabbed her arm. Wait. He reached into his pack. He pulled out a small container. He opened it. Inside were energy bars. He offered one to Zara. She blinked. Then she took it. John smiled. She bit into the bar. Her eyes widened with surprise. John laughed silently. He tapped his helmet. Energy supply. Human ration 47, Zara chewed and swallowed. It is good. John held out his hand. Ready to go? Zara stood. They clipped their tethers and drifted back to the shuttle. As they reached the ramp, 5 small enemy fighters came into view. They glided on silent thrusters. Their weapons glowed. John's heart pounded. He moved quickly. He guided Zara inside. She climbed in first, then John. He closed the hatch and activated the shields. The fighters opened fire. Laser beams struck the shuttle's hull. Sparks flew. John pushed the throttle. The shuttle shot away from the satellite. Zara sat beside him. She held her pistol ready. John piloted through debris. The fighters chased them. John tapped controls. Evasive maneuvers? Zara smiled. Follow me. She reached over and moved a lever. A hidden compartment opened. Inside were small rockets. John raised an eyebrow. Rockets? Zara loaded one into a launcher. She aimed at the fighters. She fired. The rocket flew in an arc. It hit a fighter's thruster. The fighter spun out of control. John took advantage. He rolled the shuttle. He shot through a field of debris. The fighters struggled to follow. Zara fired 2 more rockets. Each found its mark. 2 fighters broke away. Only 2 remained. John spotted an asteroid. He aimed the shuttle toward it. They dove behind the rock. The fighters followed. They came too close. Zara squeezed the trigger on her pistol. She fired an EMP grenade. It floated out and exploded. A shockwave passed. The fighters glitched and spun away. John grinned. Nice work. Zara shrugged. Simple tool. She tapped her console. Course to the ship set. John released the lever. He aimed the shuttle back to horizon. They shot through space. The ship loomed. Ahead, John guided the shuttle to the docking port. He landed carefully. The ramp opened. Mechanics rushed forward with stretchers and tools. Captain Reed met them at the door. Reed looked at Zara's suit. Damage report? Zara unlatched her helmet. Her face was calm, but her scars glowed faintly. John stepped out. He smiled. Satellite repaired. Horizon safe. Reed nodded. Well done? Take a rest. John shook his head. We should write a report first, Reed sighed. Later, now go rest. John glanced at Zara. He saw fatigue in her eyes. He nodded. Yes, sir. They walked away. The repair crew cheered quietly. John touched Zara's arm. Let's go. She looked at him and nodded. They left the bay together. The morning sun shone through the windows. John felt proud. He knew they had done well. He wondered what Zara thought. She walked beside him in silence. John decided not to speak. He felt happy just to be near her. They reached the crew quarters. Zara turned and smiled. John smiled back. They parted ways and entered their rooms. John closed his door. He leaned against it and exhaled. He closed his eyes and thought of her. He held a hand to his heart. He would call her cute again someday. John stepped into the bright medical bay aboard Horizon. The white walls and soft hum of machines made him feel calm. He carried a tray with clean cloths, antiseptic gel, and a small comb. He had promised Zara he would help clean her wound. Zara sat on a padded table. Her armor lay on a nearby chair, bits of dirt and blood on its surface. One hand gripped the edge of the table. She had a bandage wrapped around her forearm. The glow of her alien scars peeked through. John set the tray on a small rolling table. He knelt in front of her. He met her dark eyes. She looked tense and wary. Are you sure you want me to do this? John asked softly. Zara hesitated. She met his eyes for a moment, then she nodded once. John smiled gently. He put on a pair of gloves. He opened the antiseptic gel and squeezed a small amount onto a cloth. He dabbed the gel along the edges of the wound. Zara flinched. John paused. Sorry, does it hurt much? Zara drew a breath. A little. John nodded. He spoke quietly. I will be careful. He cleaned the wound in slow, gentle strokes. He removed dirt and debris. Zara watched his face. She saw concern in his eyes. When the wound was clean, John opened a small case with fresh bandages. He lifted one and placed it over the cut. Zara felt the soft cloth touch her skin. Better? John asked. Zara nodded. She studied the bandage. The glow from the scar moved under it. John looked at her hand. The glowing scars fascinated him. He remembered the moment in the repair bay when he first saw them. They looked like pale lines of light beneath her skin. Gently, he reached to smooth a braid that had fallen across her shoulder. He tucked it behind her ear. Zara froze. She watched his hand. She felt a warm flutter in her chest. John paused with his hand still near her hair. He looked at her closely. You know, with the braided hair and the glowing scars, you look cute, the words slipped out softly. John immediately froze. He realized what he had said. Zara's eyes widened. Her amber glow blazed bright red along her cheeks. She looked away. The lights in the bay seemed to dim around them. Zara lowered her gaze. She hoped John would not see her blush. She tried to shrink back. John felt his heart race. He stared at her. He cursed at his own boldness. He cleared his throat. I didn't mean to surprise you, he swallowed. I just thought, he paused, there she looks cute. Zara kept her gaze fixed on the floor. The red glow faded slowly to her normal lavender tone. She held her breath. I'm sorry, John murmured. I should not have said that. Zara's breathing steadied. She felt tension in her shoulders. She looked at John from the corner of her eye. He knelt before her, his face earnest. After a silent moment, Zara spoke. Her voice was low. It's okay, John stared. Okay, Zara nodded. She touched the bandage. Thank you for helping. John let out a breath. He stood slowly. He moved the tray away. Suddenly the door slid open. Two crew members pushed a cart with repair parts. They saw John standing close to Zara. Their eyes widened. Hey, John, one of them said, trying to hide a grin. Did you just call our alien warrior cute? John turned red. Zara stiffened. John swallowed. It's a breach hazard, he blurted. Better be sealed. The crew members burst into laughter. Zara looked at them, confused. She blushed bright red. One engineer teased. Yeah, John, the other added. She did. Zara's ears glowed faintly. She realized everyone knew. She wanted to disappear. John glared at the crew. Enough! He raised his voice. We have work to do. The crew fell silent. They rolled the cart away. Zara let out a breath. She looked at John with a soft expression. Thank you, she said to him. For helping me, John nodded. Of course, any time. Zara stood. She adjusted her armor. She moved to leave the bay. John walked beside her. Their shoulders brushed. Zara stopped at the door. John, she said quietly. He looked at her. His heart pounded. I did not mind your words. Zara paused. She looked down. It was new feeling. John's eyes softened. I'm glad, Zara nodded. She tapped at her cum badge. Captain Reed calls. I must leave. John smiled. I can escort you. Zara's eyes met his. She nodded. They walked down the corridor together. John felt a warm joy in his chest. He looked at Zara's profile. Her skin glowed softly in the corridor lights. They reached the main hallway. Crew members passed by, whispering. Zara held her head high. John spoke quietly. If you want to talk more, I'm here. Zara's blush returned faintly. Thank you, John. She turned and walked to the bridge. John watched her leave. He took a deep breath. He tapped his cum badge. Engineer John to cabin. His heart still fluttered as he walked away. He smiled at the thought of her. Zara woke before dawn. She stood by her cabin window, looking out at the stars. The glow from her scars pulsed softly in the dark. She felt a strange warmth in her chest when she thought of John. She clenched her fists and turned away. She walked to the mess hall. The lights were low. Few crew members were here. Zara took a tray and poured a cup of tea. She sat alone at a table. She stirred the tea slowly, her eyes fixed on the foam. She remembered John's words. The moment he said she looked cute. She had never heard such words before. Her cheeks had burned bright red under his gentle gaze. She had felt shy and unsure. Now, she wanted to avoid him. She felt awkward around him. She placed her tray down and drank a sip. The warmth of the tea eased her thoughts. She spotted John entering the mess hall. He wore a simple shirt and pants. He looked tired, but he smiled when he saw her. Zara looked away. She picked up her tray and left the hall. She walked through the corridors, her pace quick. She hoped he would not follow. John paused when Zara left. He frowned. He drank his coffee and set the cup down. He followed her quietly. Zara reached the observation deck. Large windows looked out at space. The stars and distant planets shone. She sat on a bench. She folded her arms and waited. John stepped onto the deck. He stood behind her, arms crossed. He watched her silhouette. Zara felt him there. She did not turn. After a moment, she spoke. You followed me, John sighed. I wanted to say sorry again. Zara's shoulders tensed. For what? John moved closer. For making you feel strange. I did not mean to confuse you. Zara glared at the stars. I am fine. John shook his head. I don't think so. You avoid me now, Zara said nothing. John took a deep breath. I know this is new for you. These words are not part of your culture. Zara paused. She thought of her home world. She remembered. Her training, her duties, words were few and precise. Feelings were shown by deeds, never by speech. She looked at John. His brown eyes were kind and honest. Her pulse quickened. John softly said, When I said you looked cute, I meant you were beautiful in your own way. Zara's glow brightened. She felt her chest warm again. She lowered her head. John continued, I care about you, Zara. I do not. Want you to feel alone? Zara closed her eyes. She did not know how to respond. She felt torn between her training and her feelings. John reached out. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. I am here. Zara looked at his hand. She let out a quiet breath. She stood. Thank you, John, but I must think alone. She stepped away and bowed stiffly. Then she turned and walked out. John watched her leave, his heart heavy. Zara returned to her cabin. She closed the door and leaned against it. She pressed a hand to her heart. She was confused and afraid. She had never felt this way. She walked to her mirror. She studied her reflection. The faint glow of her scars pulsed. She touched her cheek. She remembered his gentle touch on her braid. She blushed again. She shook her head. She paced the room. She refused to admit these feelings. She must stay strong. Hours passed. Zara performed her morning drills. She practiced with her sword and training dummy. Her strikes were precise, her stance solid. Yet her mind drifted to John. She saw him in the corridor. He walked with purpose, checking panels. He waved at her. Zara bowed and kept walking. Late afternoon came. The crew gathered in the rec area. Some played cards, others rested. Zara entered to retrieve water. She tried to hurry past. John sat at a table, repairing a broken device. He looked up and smiled. Zara froze. She turned to leave. John called softly, Zara. She stopped. She faced away. John walked over. He sat beside her. She frowned. I think we should talk, he said. Zara clenched her jaw. About? John tapped his device. About this distance between us. Zara lowered her head. I need time. John nodded. I understand. But I want you to know I will wait. Zara looked at him. Her heart fluttered. She saw his patience and respect. John added, we don't need to speak of feelings if you are not ready. Just tell me if you need help. Zara inhaled. She nodded slowly. Thank you, John. He stood. I'll be on watch later. If you want to talk, come by. Zara stood. She managed a bow. I will. He smiled and left. Zara watched him go. She felt an odd pull toward him. She longed to call after him, but did not. Night fell. The ship was quiet. Zara walked to the bridge. She took John's watch station. She sat at his console, studying the readouts. She touched the panel he had repaired moments ago. She remembered his careful work. She opened her John? Her voice shook. Moments later, John arrived. He saw her at his station. You're here early, he said. Zara stood. She faced him. I could not sleep. John nodded. He sat beside her. Zara took a breath. I want to learn your words. John looked surprised. My words? Zara nodded. Yes, words. To express feelings. John's face lit up. I can teach you. Zara exhaled. Thank you. They sat together. John showed basic human words. Love, kind, friend. Zara repeated slowly, her voice quiet. John smiled. You speak well. Zara blushed faintly. Your accent is strange. John laughed softly. And yours too. They shared a quiet moment. The tension eased between them. Zara looked at John. She felt hope. John looked at Zara. He felt joy. They sat in silence, learning together under the stars. The odd pull between them grew stronger. The alarms blared through the corridors of the horizon. Red lights flashed as the ship shook from impact. John sat at his engineering console when the warning came. He saw multiple enemy fighters on the view screen. They were close and armed. His heart raced. He tapped his All hands, this is engineering. Prepare for attack. He leapt from the station and ran down the corridor toward the weapons bay. He passed crew members rushing to stations. Sparks flew from a damaged panel. John ducked and helped a technician brace the loose wiring. I'll fix this later, he said, and sprinted on. Meanwhile, Zara stood on the bridge, her eyes sharp and ready. Her armor gleamed under the red lights. She tightened her grip on the rail. She saw the fighters on her console. Her scars glowed. In rhythm with her heartbeat, she knew duty called. Captain Reed, Zara said into her cum. They come in from port side. They have heavy lasers, Reed's voice crackled back. Lock down the shield generators. John, reroute power to shields. Zara, lead the defense team. John arrived at the shield core. He tapped controls and rerouted power. The core hummed louder as the shields strengthened. He glanced at the screen. The fighters' lasers struck the shields. Sparks flew across the hull plating. The shields held down the hall. Zara gathered a small team of security officers. They armed rifles and pistols. Zara checked her own weapons, a heavy plasma rifle and a combat blade. She tapped her helmet. Follow me. Move to port. Railgun stations. They ran to the port gun deck. The door slid open. The corridor opened onto an open space. From here, the team could fire at the fighters through large viewport windows. The viewport showed the fighters swooping in. Fire on my mark, Zara ordered. She knelt and aimed her rifle. Her team followed. Mark, Zara shouted. They opened fire. Bolts of blue energy shot out, striking the fighters. One fighter spun from a direct hit. Debris floated in space. The others flew back. From the engineering deck, John monitored the shield power. One more hit and the shields would fail. He tapped more commands. Shields at 50%. Redirecting power from non-essential systems. On the gun deck, Zara's team fired again. Two fighters approached a large window. Before they could fire, Zara leapt forward. She pressed the window switch. The glass misted over with a protective layer. The fighters' lasers hit the glass. They melted away harmlessly. Zara pressed a button on her rifle. It switched to high-power mode. She fired a single shot. The energy bolt tore through one fighter's wing. It tumbled away. Only 3 remained. John watched on the main monitor. He saw the fighters retreating. He smiled, then the monitors flickered. A new group of fighters appeared from the stern. He tapped his console. Another wave coming. He ran back to the weapons bay. He grabbed an energy wrench and a small toolkit. He scanned his ID badge. The door opened. Inside, he found a cannon mounted on the wall. He hefted it. It was heavy, but he held it firmly. He sprinted to the stern gun deck. He saw Zara's team struggling. The fighters were fast. They dodged bolts and fired back. One blast shook the deck and threw a crew member off balance. He fell hard. Zara rushed to help him. She lifted his head and checked him. He was groaning. She tapped her cum. Medic to port deck now? John charged forward, cannon raised. He aimed at a fighter. He squeezed the trigger. The cannon roared, sending a volley of energy rounds. The fighter veered away, its shields flickering. Zara saw John in action. Her heart pounded. He fought without fear. She felt pride and longing. She drew her blade and moved to flank the fighters. A fighter swooped close to the deck. Its pilot fired a laser bolt. Zara blocked with her blade. The laser melted the metal guard, but it held. Sparks flew. She plunged the blade into the fighter's rear thruster. The thruster exploded in a flash. The fighter spun and drifted away. Zara kicked the blade free and turned to help John. John fired again. 2 fighters remained. He aimed the cannon at one and fired. The blast hit its cockpit. The fighter spiraled out of view. Only one was left. Zara sprinted beside John. Leave it to me, she said. She sheathed her blade and tapped her pistol. She aimed and fired. Multiple shots struck the fighter's cockpit shield. It cracked. She fired again. The shield shattered. She fired a final bolt. The fighter exploded in a bright flash. The ship shook less. The alarms faded. The red lights turned back to normal. On the horizon, the stars returned to calm. Zara lowered her pistol and exhaled. She looked at John. His face was sweaty, but his eyes shone. They saw each other through the smoke and dust. John reached out. Are you all right? Zara nodded. She stepped closer. Yes, thanks to you. John shook his head. We did it together, a voice crackled overcome. This is Captain Reed, all fighters destroyed, shields stable. Well done, both of you, Zara saluted. Thank you, Captain. John lowered his cannon. He tapped his cum. Engineering returning to normal, no major damage. Zara and John walked back to the main corridor. Crew members cheered and patted them on the back. A young officer approached Zara. You defeated the leader fighter directly. Incredible skill. Zara paused. She thought of the pilot's fierce eyes. She felt sorrow. They fought well, she said softly. They were not criminals, just soldiers. The officer nodded. Still, you fought bravely. Zara gave a small bow. Thank you. John walked beside her. He tapped Zara's arm. You were amazing. Zara looked at him. Her chest pulsed. You too, she said. They reached the bridge. Captain Reed stood by the window. Watching the stars, he turned. Both of you to my office. John and Zara entered the captain's quarters. Reed gestured them to sit. He smiled. Your actions saved this ship. I owe you both my thanks. He looked at John. Engineer, your quick thinking and courage kept the shields up. Reed then looked at Zara. Warrior, you saved the deck and defeated their leader. John and Zara exchanged glances. Zara lowered her head. John sat upright. Reed continued, I want to honor you both. Tomorrow there will be a small ceremony. John felt surprised. Thank you, sir. Zara nodded. I appreciate it. Reed stood. Dismissed. Well done. John and Zara left the office. They walked to the corridor in silence. Zara stopped. She turned to John. Thank you for being by my side. I could not have done it alone. John smiled. I would follow you anywhere. Zara gazed at him. Her scars glowed faintly. She felt a warmth when she looked into his eyes. John took a breath. You were incredible. I am proud to know you. Zara swallowed. I am proud to know you too. They stood close. The corridor was quiet. John hesitated. Then he spoke softly. Zara, At that moment, an alarm sounded again. A voice called, Medical emergency in Bay 3. Zara and John exchanged a quick look and ran toward the bay. They charged down the corridor together, side by side. Zara's chest felt light. John's heart beat strong. They did not speak. They did not need words. They fought as one, and together they would face whatever came next. After the final alarms faded, the horizon fell silent. The crew moved through the ship, tending to the wounded and fixing damage. John stood in the corridor, holding a cloth to a cut on his cheek. He had a thin trickle of blood, but nothing serious. Still, he felt the pain and pressed the cloth harder. Zara appeared at the other end of the hall. She wore her armor, but it was scuffed and dented. Her scars glowed softly beneath the bandages. She carried her plasma rifle in one hand and a small case of medical supplies in the other. When she saw John, she paused. John looked up. His eyes met hers. He offered the cloth to her. Would you like help with that? Zara walked closer. She shook her head. My injuries, Minor, but thank you. John lowered the cloth and smiled. I owe you thanks too. You saved the ship and saved me. Zara's glow brightened. She hesitated, then nodded. We saved each other. They walked together toward the medical bay. The corridor walls were scratched and marked by debris. Orange warning lights blinked above. Crew members passed them, some on stretchers, others carrying tools. In the medical bay, doctors and nurses worked quickly. 2 injured crew lay on tables. John found an empty seat and sat. Zara laid her case on a table and began organizing bandages and antiseptic. John watched her calm movements. He felt a deep respect for her skills. He said, You are good at this. Zara paused. She looked at him. In my world, every warrior learns to heal. It is our duty to protect life. John nodded. I understand that here too. Zara's glow softened. John, about earlier, when you called me cute? John's heart skipped. He reached out. I meant it. And I'm glad to hear you liked it. Zara placed a bandage on his cut. Her hand brushed his skin. John felt warmth spread through him. She looked at his cheek. It is almost healed, John smiled. Thanks to you. Zara stood straight. You have a good heart, John. John's face warmed. You are brave, Zara. They stood close. The busy bay faded around them. They saw only each other. Zara cleared her throat. I have a question. John leaned in. Ask. Zara took a breath. What does it mean for you when you say something is cute? John thought. He closed his eyes. Cute means sweet, charming. Someone makes me happy when I see them, Zara nodded slowly. Then, you make me happy. John's eyes opened. He saw her glow bright red for a moment. Then it returned to lavender. He reached for her hand. Zara, would you stay on Horizon longer? Maybe ... ways. Zara stared at his hand, then into his eyes. She felt a certainty echo in her heart. Yes, she whispered, I will stay. John's smile broke into a grin. He pulled her into a gentle embrace. Zara stiffened, then relaxed into his arms. She rested her head on his shoulder. John held her close. He whispered, I'm glad. They stayed like that for a long moment. Then the doctor called to John. Engineer, the coolant line in the engine room needs your attention. John released Zara. He took her hand. Shall we go together? Zara smiled softly. Yes, they left the medical bay side by side. Zara carried her medical case. John held his tools. They headed down the corridor toward engineering. The glow from Zara's scars pulsed with each step. John glanced at her and felt pride. In engineering, the damage was less severe than before. A single coolant line had burst under the stress of the battle. John tapped his console and began repairing the line. Zara set down her case and handed him tools. They worked together in silence. John held pipes steady. Zara tightened clamps. Their hands brushed occasionally. Each time, John looked up and caught Zara's gaze. She smiled faintly. After the repair, John tested the system. Coolant flowed evenly. The gauges returned to green. John exhaled. All set. Zara nodded. Thank you. John stepped back. He looked at Zara. Now I can teach you more words. Zara smiled. I would like that. John pulled a datapad from his pocket. He opened a simple language app. He tapped the next lesson. Zara watched the screen. John pronounced words, care, trust, hope. Zara repeated carefully. Her accent was soft and melodic. John praised her. Perfect. Zara's glow pulsed. John ... John looked at her. Zara reached up and touched his cheek. Thank you. John felt his heart race. He reached out and held her hand. Zara smiled shyly. She placed his hand over hers. John said, I think you are ... He paused, smiled. ... Dutiful. Zara's glow flared bright red. She laughed softly. John laughed too. They stood close in the workshop, surrounded by tools and code. Around them, the horizon hummed with life. Together, they looked ahead to new adventures, ready to face them side by side.